on your Substack, which you have some great articles, you posted a 3-part saga on academic peer review, starting with woke resignation. Now, in it, you talk about the critical problems of peer review itself. Most of this audience will be familiar with peer review and the prestige it enjoys in academic and scientific research. It's often cited as an authoritative qualification and conversely used to dismiss some otherwise excellent work as well. Now, if something is peer-reviewed, it can be occasionally assumed to be of higher quality, shall we say. Now, you wrote, among other things, that the whims and biases and incompetencies of professors who review and edit papers can also be at fault. Now, having published 70 papers yourself, you certainly have experience with these issues. James, can you take us through what happened when you tried to write a paper on the rise of woke medicine?
Yeah, so this is an example of the ideas in the humanities coming into the biomedical research sciences. This paper, by the way, is not yet published, but it's scheduled to come out in June of this year. After getting a couple of editor desk rejections, which were not unsurprising, I expected that to happen. I eventually submitted it to another journal, which I thought might be more favorable of the work. And all I'm doing in this paper is I'm going to a well-known database called PubMed, which is an index, an archive of biomedical research studies, and I'm just keyword searching particular woke words or words that are similarly kind of clumped in with woke concepts, things like social justice and equity or health equity or gender equity, systemic racism, indigenous knowledge, all sorts of words. So I think maybe about 150 total words. And all I'm doing is quantifying the trend in the use of these terms since like 1970. And so basically what you see is over the past 10 years, just this substantial increase in the use of this nomenclature. And you have to remember that I'm searching PubMed, which is a biomedical research database. So this is no longer the humanities. So
you're not searching the Guardian. You're not searching the Guardian newspaper, for example. You're searching a proper, serious medical journal, correct?
That's right. So New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, BMJ, all my exercise science journals, they're all indexed in here. And the idea is just to show how these ideas are coming in to these areas. And then I kind of leave it open for discussion, you know, what is the impact of this on medical practice and stuff. Okay, so I submitted my paper on this to this particular journal. It went out for a review, got the reviews back, made some minor edits, and then I was just waiting to hear back from the editor. It was taking a little while. I said, hey, what's the status of my paper? Is it accepted or what's going on? And he's like, yeah, sorry, it took a little while to get back to you. It's been accepted. We're going to publish it. But by the way, I thought I'd let you know that someone in my editorial staff room has decided to resign from her position because we decided to accept your paper on the rise of woke medicine at this journal. So this woman, who I think is a Sydney-based individual, by the way, has decided to resign.
Don't lay this on Sydney. Don't lay it on Sydney casually there.
So yeah, the editor basically came out and told me that she herself was quite woke and decided to resign because she, in good conscience, could no longer work for the journal if my paper was going to be published there. And what's so interesting about this is I was able to kind of figure out who the person was because her profile was still on the journal's website. And in her biography on the website, about 3 or 4 of the woke words that were included in my search were included in her biography, meaning the sorts of things that, she's passionate about and all that. So it's no wonder that she didn't like the paper. But this is my Substack article related to what I call sort of woke resignation. That's the story.
But forgive me if I'm wrong, but 2 things here. Isn't this supposed to be the movement that champions diversity and inclusion? Therefore, you would believe that alternate viewpoints might therefore be of interest to publications and journals of that nature and those who support that kind of ideas. So are you surprised that an ideology that we've been very tolerant, like people like you and other medical professionals have been particularly tolerant of this ideology coming into the profession. They haven't walked away from it, they've let it come, they've given it a hearing. So do you think it's a bit strange to find that there is a complete intolerance of anybody who questions that philosophy instead of having a journal that at the very least, allows these thoughts to be heard without people walking out in protest.
Yeah, I agree. Not very tolerant people of alternative viewpoints, and I try to put myself in their shoes. And that is, what if someone submitted a woke paper and I was the editor or the reviewer? I don't think I would resign or retire or throw a fuss or anything like that. I might critique it and say, here's some ways that you could make your argument better if you can. But I don't think I would throw such a fuss as to resign. I think people are very, very sensitive to when their positions and their ideas get challenged. But for me, that's just a sort of an everyday occurrence when it comes to working out scientific ideas and working out what knowledge we're trying to find out. So we have to be able to discuss and debate things. And I'm a huge fan of letters to the editor, by the way, where you really get in and you challenge people's work. And, all someone like that has to do is just write a letter to the editor after my paper gets published and challenge me, and we'll duel it out in the academic literature, in the public space, and let people decide for themselves who they think is correct on the issue.
Well, just quickly before we throw out our first ad break, the point of your paper actually sounds interesting. The idea that we need to have a discussion about wokeism entering the vocabulary. Did you find any comments, or why have you decided to bring this up? Do you think it's an important topic that needs to be discussed? Is that why you've decided to submit this paper in the first place?
Yep. I think it's an important topic. I think it's already sort of impacting clinical practice. I'm more interested in the exercise and fitness side of things, but I'll just give you one quick example, and that is in relation to the idea of obesity right now. There is a big movement basically to just say that people can't control their own body weight. So you have no sense of agency, and it's all due to strictly environmental factors. And so this sort of paper and the terminology they use within these papers would fall within this kind of woke nomenclature in the biomedical sciences. And that one strikes me a bit more because that's a little bit more close to the sorts of things I study, which is physical fitness. And the idea that you would tell someone that comes into your clinic that, there's not much they can do about their body weight. It's all because of the obesogenic environment, and you can't control any of that. That's, to me, almost medical malpractice. So I think we need to start having some discussions about some of these issues.